Hi, this is Cary with Wicked Signal, bringing you another video analysis. This one is really an update once again on Chubb Corporation, symbol CB. I initially posted this Chubb buy signal recommendation on November 4th. You can actually find it on the website. In a minute, I'm going to show you about 30-40 seconds of that video so you get a little refresher. But this was the look of the chart closing above that 130.36 formation, 128.73. It was a band of support. You can watch the video. I'll show you in a moment, actually. Did indicate, at the time we were trading, in the mid 130s, it indicated really the upper 160s. So I'm going to catch us up on what's going on the chart, both near, mid, and long term. Let's jump into the video so you can actually see, and this is about 30 seconds or so, and then I'll come back and show you some charts. Now the support zone goes all the way down to the second band, or the primary band, at 128.73, and that is our range of support now. Assuming we close this week, the week of Monday, November 2nd, above it, this is our support zone that can absorb selling through the rest of the year, and above which I'm expecting higher trade into the mid to upper 160s over the coming month, 2 or 3, and I'll get to that in just a moment. All right, and following that buy signal, you can see the market continued up, actually into the upper 160s already. We have a move high this week at 171.14. In the settlement price as of Tuesday, February 23rd, is 168.75, certainly in the upper 160s, but that formation kept rising through time. As you can see, what was at 168.29 the week of Monday, November 30th, has now risen into the low 180s this week at 180.19, rises to 188.12, 8 full weeks later to the week of Monday, April 19th. So, as usual, you can subtract 180.19 from 188.12, divide by 8, and you'll know where that channel top is each and every week in between. Now, it is a channel top that can continue to contain, I'm going to say, monthly buying pressures, possibly quarterly buying pressures, because of the scope of this, the length of time of this channel top is almost a year now. But this is a perfect example, actually. It's one of the reasons I shot this video, a lesson I learned and continue to relearn, which is to say, never lose sight of the big picture. And so if you take a look at this red square and we impose it on a longer term chart that goes back 13, 14 years, you can see the 180.19 formation. But in a more meaningful way, you can see how we have a long-term channel top that is at 173.13 this week, the week of Monday, February 22nd, and I put out there 8 weeks later it rises to 173.91, and you can once again subtract those two numbers out, divide by 8, and you'll know exactly where that long-term resistance area, that long-term channel top is each and every week in between, all the way into later April. This is a formation that I neglected to see, actually, when I shot that first video, because I was really looking for kind of like the 2 to 3 week to 2 to 3 month move. I wasn't really anticipating or looking at the bigger picture at that time. And certainly there's a much more meaningful resistance in what I'll just call the lower 170s, that 173.13 formation. We've yet to rally to within 1% of it, but we've come close. 1% into the zone, if you will, begins at 171.40, and the high so far this week is 171.14. Now, I'm not suggesting that you sell 171.50, 172, even all the way up to 173.13. Just know that this stock can grow overbought in that zone, and not until or unless we close above the 173.13 formation by at least a 1% margin, which would be 1.73 plus 173.13, and that would take us to, what would that be? 174.87, right? Yeah, 174.87. I'll have to put that on the video. I didn't put on the chart initially. So that's just for this week, the week of Monday, February 22nd. If we close above this formation at 173.13 by at least a 1% margin, which is my usual slippage factor, I'm going to throw out that rubber band I'll throw the rubber band analogy at you, one more time, which is to say we can push through 173.13, but we're merely stretching the rubber band. It doesn't really snap unless we close any day, and certainly followed by a weekly settlement above that formation, 173.13, by at least a 1% margin, which would be a 174.87 settlement this week, the week of February 22nd, or higher. And of course, that 1% margin will rise accordingly with the rate at which this channel top is rising. So I'm putting it out there. If you happen to still be long Chubb from that buy signal, this is a zone to unload, in my opinion, because it can actually absorb buying for the year itself. From here, we could fall back into later year, possibly longer. This is what is this, about a 13-year span of time. This channel structure is significant. It's not incredibly steep. It's relatively horizontal, which means it's more meaningful, generally more reliable, the more horizontal structures get to be. And so from here, we could certainly back off. I'm not prepared to say where to at this point, because the purpose of this video is just to enlighten you as to what I'm considering to be the new resistance. If you're long, this is an area to unload. And inversely, as I've been saying, if you play options aggressively, if you play the short side aggressively, this is also a zone to buy puts, sell calls, what have you. Now, let me back up a little bit, stammering here. If we close above this 173.13 formation by at least a 1% margin, 174.87 or higher this week of February 22nd, then long term, this stock looks very good. Now, the question, of course, is, will we rally the full, what would that be? It's not 100%, but it's probably, 50%? Would we rally that significantly as we have over the last year up into the 240s and 250s? I mean, it's certainly possible, but it's also possible if you take a look going back to that 2009 low against the 2017-18 highs, that took every bit of 8 or 9 years, and that is also what may play out. So, I know the purpose of Wicked Signal is not really the 10-year trade. It's 2 to 3 weeks to 2 to 3 months. So I'll go back to that structure that we showed initially, and I'll give you the numbers here. So, this is also a good play, by the way. If you're long the stock now, consider getting out in the 173 handle, I'll call it. And if we close above that 173.13 formation by at least a 1% margin, I think you've got another 2 to 3, 3 to 5 week pop to the upside until we get into that low 180s, which rises to 192.23 that week of Monday, April 19th. And that's 8 weeks apart, those two numbers. You can subtract them out, divide by 8, and you'll know where that more intermediate channel top is on the way up as we continue into March and April. And once again, if we close above the 173.13 formation by at least a 1% margin, expect that next channel formation within, I'm going to say 3 to 5 weeks. Now, as we go further along in time, it could take more like 2 to 3 months as we get up into the 192.23 vicinity. And so for you trade the 2 to 3 week to 2 to 3 month time frame, this is perfect. I mean, if we close above that 173.13 formation, that's kind of a go long signal into let's just call it the mid 180s, for instance. That is not really even that's not even a 10% move, but nonetheless, for those of you who trade the aggressive 2 to 3 week time frame, that may be worth your pursuing. I nonetheless like the idea of getting long with a settlement above 173.13 by at least 1%, whether it's for the next 2 to 3 months or next 2 to 3 years or what have you. Until then, this is toppy territory, overbought zone where we could top out, I'm going to say through 2021 at 173.13. I think I'm just going to leave you with that. I'm redundant as usual. Appreciate you sticking with me this long. And, at the very end of this, I should have started with, please have your trader and investor friends go to wickedsignal.com, have them fill out that free subscription link, and first name, last name, email address. You or they will receive a new email each and every time a new video analysis is ready for viewing. I will not fill your inbox with a wide range of marketing offers. That they will be coming, though, but I promise you they'll not be overwhelming. maybe one a week or one a month, whatever the case might be. And also, I'll never share your personal contact information with anyone outside of the organization. And that's all I have to say for this Wicked Signal video update on Chubb Corporation.